I can confidently tell you right now, 4-2-3-1 is the best formation in FC24, absolutely, without a doubt. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how this 4-2-3-1 got me to Elite Division and got me back-to-back rank 1 finishes on Weekend League. And with that being said, let's go check out the custom tactics with this formation. And with 4-2-3-1, I have it set to my defensive because I have other attacking formations set, and I feel like 4-2-3-1 is a way more balanced style in mind. It's not something that I'd use if I need a goal really badly. I do have other formations for that, so I set it to defensive, so I'm training my mind to remember that this is like my more balanced formation, if that makes sense. And with that being said, defensive style, I'm telling you guys, no matter what formation you're using, you need to use balance. The only time I would really change it is if you want to use team press as like a backup formation or a backup tactic, but balanced no matter what, because balanced incorporates every single other thing that you can use instead of it, forcing you, like drop back for instance is really bad because you're going to see that good defense requires high depth. It's not like previous FIFAs where you could drop back and let the defense and the AI do the work for you. We don't do that around here. That's not going to get you far, this FIFA. Drop back is not good anymore. Pressure on heavy touch can be useful, but it's very risky, and honestly the cons outweigh the pros, so I personally don't see the benefit. Press average possession loss, I feel like has way more cons than pros. Or you're going to be opening so many counterattacks, it's insane. Like, unless you have the defensive skills to make up for it, I don't see the benefit, really. Constant pressure, I would enable if you're losing and you're desperate, but again, you're just opening up a lot of open space. So this is like a last resort. And, I already spoke about dropback. So balance is, without a doubt, the best thing you can use no matter what formation you use. And 45 width, you want a skinnier width than a wide one, because if it's skinny enough, you're going to be preventing through balls through the center of the defense. You're still going to have to worry about the width, as in like the wingers of the other team, which can be really annoying because, some people they like to play like some rats, really, where like they get the ball on the touchline, they run down the touchline. That can be really frustrating to play with, but you're going to have to learn to adapt and learn to play discipline with your fullbacks. The meta is not wide defense. You need skinny defense to prevent the through balls down the middle, because those are what score goals. And with 60 depth, I know in a previous video I said 72. However, if you're struggling with 72, because 72 is really high, and sometimes the pros of having an automatically offside trap can outweigh the cons of having to defend that well, I would drop back to 60. That does disable the offside trap automatically. However, it's way more easier to control. And like I said, the meta this year is not low defense. You need defense that's up high, because like I said in the previous video, when you have high depth, that doesn't mean just your defensive line, it means your offensive as well. You push the whole other team's possession more farther back. You don't want them at the edge of your box. You want them maybe at the 35 line, the 35-yard line, 40, 50 plus. You don't want them right in front of your goal. It's really easy to score long shots, especially ever since last FIFA as well. Travella, finesse shot, all those play styles and everything, it's really easy to score long shots, so you don't want them in front of your goal. And then with build-up play, just like defensive style, you always want this unbalanced. However, this can vary depending on your play style in game. So unlike other people that try to tell you to use the same exact thing they're using, I'm going to tell you guys right now, balance is good if you prefer having possession of the ball and if you do normally dominate possession. If you're a player that can play really nice passes and open up defenses pretty well, I would recommend balance. However, if you're a player that isn't really good at holding the ball, you can either use the balance to get better at that, or you can use fast build-up for the counterattacks. All this really does is when you get the ball, your players just run up the field really much more higher and much more aggressively. However, that does open up counterattacks to yourself as well, and it throws way more players higher up the pitch. So this is more higher risk. But if you don't normally control possession and you're playing against teams that hold the ball a lot better than you can, I would recommend fast build-up, unless you want to learn how to possess the ball really well. In that case, I would use balance. But again, it's up to you. I'm letting you guys know the options that you have instead of just telling you to just use something that I want you to use. I'm letting you know what differences these have to offer, because not everyone should be running the exact same instructions. Not everyone's going to play the exact same, But really, I wouldn't use nothing else. Slow build-up sounds dumb to me. Long ball, maybe. I don't see the point in long ball. And then direct passing, of course. Direct passing is what really opens up passing options in the attack. I know a lot of people do recommend things like, forward runs. However, my issue with stuff like this is forward runs is only going to really the only people you're going to see playing forward runs unironically are going to be like the higher division, like Div 7, 8, 9. People that just spam through wells, and that's all they can do. The thing with direct passing is it does use, your players are still going to make runs in behind. However, they're also going to come short and receive the ball to their feet, and you want that sometimes because you want to be able to dribble instead of just spamming through balls. You kind of suck if all you do is spam through balls. And then width 45, there's not really much to say about it. Just like the defense, the meta is narrow attack as well, so keep that in mind. Players in box is 6, and I know this might be confusing when you see later that you're not going to literally have 6 players in the box, but I'll explain to you later why you want 6 players in the box on this instruction. And corners, there's going to be very interesting, almost like a corner glitch that you can score very often from if you have 4 out of 5 on this formation. I'll speak about that later towards the end of the video, so keep watching. And then free kicks, this doesn't even matter. Some people set it to 1. However, I like having players up the field just in case I get a rebound on the shot or whatever. So I set it to 2. Don't do more than 2 though, because the players that you put are going to be in the weirdest positions ever. You're going to have your center back in the box and you're going to have your winger playing back. It's really weird. So I would recommend just 2. Starting from what players that you're going to use, your defensive line. What you need, fast defenders, very fast defenders. Everybody needs to be fast. From the fullbacks to the center backs, everyone needs pace. And the reason why I say that is because high depth, your players, the other team's players are going to be attempting a lot of through balls with high depth. It's going to be very tempting to do so. So you need players that can really contest that. Your center backs need to be very strong, and I recommend players with play styles. Koundé, Rudiger, I believe they both have play styles, and they're really helpful. And then fullbacks, you want fast fullbacks. I promise you, fast fullbacks. Mendy is insane. If you guys can get Mendy, you will not be disappointed. I would not recommend the coins for him. I believe he's like 150k, and that's a lot for an 82 card. But if you get him untradeable, please put him in your team. Find a way to fit him in. He's insane. Don't forget, he's got, I believe, 4-star skill moves and 5-star weak foot, which for a player of his position, absolutely insane. And Marcos Llorente, his stats look way better than he actually plays, but I need him here for chemistry, and he's not that bad. It's just for an 84 card with the stats that he has, he does not play as good as he looks. I'm not sure why. When it comes to the fullbacks, stay back while attacking. However, they're not literally going to stay back while attacking. I'll speak more about this later, so keep watching. For your 2 midfielders right here, they're running a double pivot. It's going to be pretty interesting how you run it because you can run it so many different ways, but what I recommend is one box-to-box type player. This player needs to be good at everything. Modric, 91, perfect for this because I feel like he can do literally everything. He can defend, he can attack, he can do everything, really. So he's perfect. Aouar right here, he sucks. I sub him off at the 45 every single game, honestly. He's got high-low, so he doesn't really work out for me. But I'm talking too much about my own players right now, so we're going to go over the instructions. Both of them need to be on cut passing lanes. Both of them need cut passing lanes. One of them you put on balanced attack. The other one you put on stay back while attacking. And then both of them cover center and everything else is on default. The reason why I say one of them needs to be on balanced attack is because one underestimated feature when it comes to FIFA in general is the fact that you need to not have too many specific instructions. You need to let the AI do the work for you very often in terms of attack. Balanced attack lets the player's mind or the player's AI figure out when it's time to attack and when they need to stay back. Aouar on the other hand, or your CDM. This right here is going to be your CDM, more like a number 6. On the attack, you're mostly going to see him stay back. However, sometimes, let's say Modric is way behind for some reason, you might see him attack for you, and then Modric will take the space behind him. That happens very rarely though, but generally you want a player like a straight out CDM, something like a Kante or something with high defensive stats. Aouar sucks though for this. I just have him here for the sake of chemistry. Your cam is going to be a very interesting player. You want them on stay forward because for the sake of the defensive style of this, you're going to realize that it's more of a 4-4-2 in defense, and you want them on stay forward because you don't need to make it a 4-5-1. That's too much, and stay forward helps him be an option for the counterattacks. Get into the box for cross. That way he's making those runs into the box and actually being able to shoot instead of just standing on the edge, because Modric is going to be standing on the edge most of the time. Dybala should be going into the box, if that makes sense. Kubo and Rafael Leao. And then when you have your left winger and your right winger, you want them both on comeback on defense. The reason why I say that is because you want that 4-4-2 in defense. These guys will tuck in and almost be like left mid and right mid, and they'll be pretty helpful on defense. They're not going to be necessarily getting the ball, but they're just going to be closing passing lanes to really neuter the other team's attack and really remove the chance they have of keeping possession. You want them on comeback on defense, and then you also want them on get into the box for cross. That way they actually turn into basically left and right strikers in the attack. And like I said, same thing on the right wing. And then your striker, this is a really interesting one because despite it saying stay central and get in behind, stay central is absolutely required. And the reason why I say that is because when you have him on, even on default, he's going to be going wide whenever he sees, whenever there's necessarily space for him. And the problem with that is when he goes wide, let's say he goes to the left, Rafael Leao is going to get tucked even more farther to the left. And you don't want that because that's going to turn Leao into an actual winger and he's going to be more closer to the touchline. You don't want that because Rafael Leao needs to be in front of the box or inside the box. With him being even on default support runs, he's going to be going too wide. and it's going to affect the rest of the team. You don't want that. And then getting behind, this can be really misleading. A lot of people think if you have him on getting behind, like, oh shoot, now I have to give him through balls because that's the only way I can reach him. This is so untrue. He's still going to come short and get the ball really often. However, with getting behind, one, what he does is instead of standing in front of a defender waiting for the ball, he's going to go to the right or to the left of the defender. That way, he's more available for a pass, and he can either go in behind or you can just dribble and get him out of that situation. If you have him on something like mix, he's just going to stand in front of the CDMs. That can be boring. You don't really want that. And also something important with getting behind, you don't have to always give it to him. You don't have to expect to give it to him. The benefit of that is that it pushes the other team's defense back. And with everyone running high depth this year, you need to be able to push that depth back. If you don't have anyone getting in behind this year, all that's going to do is allow the other team's depth to push up the field. If you don't have someone with getting behind this year, all that's going to do is allow the other team's defense to push up on you, and that's going to be really frustrating. You're not going to be able to get the ball up the field. And then obviously with stay forward, that way he can keep getting those options to get in behind. With that being said, there's a few tips that I want to get over with how exactly you want to play this 4-2-3-1 because it's a very versatile formation. There's so many ways you can play it. So I want to make clear a few things that you can do with this 4-2-3-1 and how you exactly want to play it. One, first being said, as I spoke about earlier, you're going to be attacking with your fullbacks very often. That's why I have 6 players going into the box, because it's not literally 6 players going into the box. That 6 acts more as a limit of how many players can go into the box, rather than 6 players are literally going into the box consistently. Because if you just play normally, you're only going to see 4 or 5 going into the box. However, with 6, what this does is that if you decide to manually dribble with a fullback up the field, and he enters the attack, he's going to now stay up there and help you for the remainder of the attack. But if you just had like a 4 in the box, that fullback, the moment he loses the ball, he's just going to run straight back. And you got to remember, 3 defenders is perfect in the attack. You don't have to have all 4 defenders standing back. What you could do if you were desperate is you could have one of your fullbacks on attacking duties. Me personally, I don't really think you have to do that, because what you can just dribble up the field with that fullback and he'll stay up for you. If you're getting desperate towards the end of a game, I would recommend you use the D-pad attacking fullback setting. I've used that very often. It's really helpful. Like sometimes I'll just turn it on even if I'm losing by like just 1 goal and it's halftime. It can be really helpful, especially if your other team isn't playing like a rat. If they're not attacking with their wingers, or if they're not sitting back and waiting for the counterattacks, you can use attacking fullbacks and really capitalize off it. Don't forget that with that being said, your CDM, your number 6 player, he's going to basically drop back even more to compensate for that. So he's going to turn into basically another center back. So you're still technically going to have 3 defenders. So keep that in mind for your counterattack. You can have 3 players going, you can have attacking fullbacks, as long as you have the proper instructions that I told you about, because that it's going to turn into a 3 at the back defensive formation basically. Another tip that I highly recommend, this is a more defensive tip as well, don't be afraid to use your center backs. A lot of people are really afraid to use your center backs. I used to be the same too, because in previous FIFAs I remember the meta was to not touch your center backs, just let the AI control the center backs. However, what separates the good defenders from the beginner defenders is how well they can control their center backs. If you're just controlling your midfielders in defense, you're not going to be that good. Like that's going to get you like maybe Div 4 at best. Also, I've said this in every single video I made, but timed finishing, you need to learn timed finishing. Timed finishing is insane. With timed finishing, you're going to score so many bangers and so many good goals. You just need to learn it. It's not even that hard. The window for time finishing is a lot bigger than you think. If you've played something like, NBA 2K where the window is really small, it's not like 2K. It's way bigger than that. I've scored a lot of goals that have won me games with time finishing on. Also, you want Drew at goalkeeper. He's the best goalkeeper in the game. You can't tell me otherwise. I promise you, he's the best goalkeeper in the game. Like, there's no one better than him, bro. Not even Yashin's better than him. I think he's doing like, what, 15k? And he links with Rafael Leao. You gotta get him, bro. Also, for this corner trick that I mentioned earlier, take a look at this goal right here, where I was able to pass it long to a player at the edge of the box. I did power this pass, but normally you should be able to just send a low driven pass straight to it. What you want to do is you just want to lob it straight to him, so almost as like a knuckle pass to him. That way he gets the ball fast, and then from there you can just pass it. You shouldn't have any issue finding a player after that. All it takes is like 1 pass and you can find a player that's going to be in a perfect shooting position. I prefer passing it. I feel like I score a lot more.
Wow, I was going to go.
This is the part where I score a crazy banger. Watch.
All right, let's see. Bow. Oh my god.
Ronaldo.
That was a 0.0 expect.
Look at that curve. Look at that curve. Oh my god,
Nice.
top beans.